All right, we got the 240 spoilers, and as we expected, this chapter is going to be pretty zesty, and that's because Takaba is taking on Kenjaku. I know, a matchup that we did not expect in the Culling game at all, but coming off of the previous chapter, we saw Takaba encountering Kenjaku, and Kenjaku hit him with those centipede curses, but it did nothing to him. And it's understandable because of Takaba's curse technique, which is like the main focal point of this chapter for sure. But before we get into it, let me just quickly go over what Takaba's curse technique is. So it's called Comedian, and it says that when Takaba thinks of something he's certain will be funny, it becomes reality. It's a technique with enough potential to oppose even Gojo, but Takaba is utterly clueless of his own power. The chapter starts with a short flashback of sorcerers doing a group meeting discussing about making a surprise attack on Kenjaku before Gojo vs Sukuna ends. Angel asks, what if Kenjaku's side ambushes the sorcerers when Gojo loses? And Hikari says he wouldn't want that to happen because their hands will be full dealing with Sukuna. Angel adds that even if they don't get ambushed, but barely win against Sukuna, it will be hard to face Kenny. Kusakabe says that they can catch Kenjaku off guard and get rid of him with Maki, but adds that it would be nonsense to split their strength before fighting Sukuna. But Angel recommends sending Takaba against Kenjaku. Hikari and Kusakabe doubts Angel's recommendation, but Angel says that there might be a bad influence on Takaba's curse technique on what I'm about to say, so please don't say this to anyone. Even Takaba. His curse technique is... And that's where the flashback cuts off. So that's pretty interesting, and it's understandable because we knew that there was some kind of plan or premeditated thing going on beforehand because Takaba just randomly showed up against Kenjaku. He knew what he was doing. Granted, he didn't know exactly where he was. It's part of, Takaba's comedic relief, but we knew that it was planned for sure. Now, how does Angel know what Takaba's curse technique is? I have no idea. Technically, she shouldn't be able to know that. I don't think anyone should be able to know that unless they're Gojo with the 6 eyes. Now, unless she has some other ability or something, or he told her, which is unlikely since he doesn't know it himself. So I guess either she has the ability to read cursed energy or something and figure out your curse technique without you even using it, or Angel knows more than what she's letting on to the audience, which I think is for sure the case regardless, because she seemingly knows something about Sukuna and Kenjaku, but I don't know, hasn't told the sorcerers, or I guess just isn't telling the audience. And I just wish that these Heian era people would just spill the beans already. I feel like I'm a child and my parents are trying to say something without me finding out exactly what it is. But this has been going on for the last 4 years with this series. But first, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, HelloFresh. Even though the fall can feel jam-packed, HelloFresh makes whipping up a home-cooked dinner actually doable with quick and easy options, including their 15-minute meals. That's less time than it takes to get delivery. And that's because HelloFresh does all the shopping and meal planning for you. Ingredients arrive at your doorstep, pre-portioned and ready to cook, along with pictured step-by-step recipe cards. How easy is that? With so many in-season ingredients, you'll taste the freshness of fall in every bite of HelloFresh's chef-crafted recipes. Guys, I gotta admit, I love HelloFresh. I tried the Beef Flauta Supreme with pico de gallo and smoky red pepper crema, and not only was it surprisingly fun, but it also tasted incredible. They're not lying about restaurant quality. HelloFresh also helps me with the grind of YouTube. I don't have to worry about what I'm gonna eat next, or what I'm gonna prepare, or if I'm gonna order something, because it's all here for me. And it's also stress relief. So guys, go to HelloFresh.com and use my code Zhoniin16 for 16 free meals plus free shipping. That offer is for new subscribers only and varies by plan across 9 boxes. Again, that's Zhoniin16 at HelloFresh.com for 16 free meals. The link will also be in the description. Thanks, guys. Also, them mentioning that they could catch Kenjaku off guard with Maki, that would be a pretty interesting matchup. And I wonder what would happen. I mean, Kenjaku obviously on paper would be the favorite since he is much more skilled and accomplished than Maki. But if we're going off of how much Gege seems to like Maki, I would honestly put my money on her. And as for everyone's, I'll say, possible lapse of judgment here with them just not going all out, considering that Kenjaku is really at a disadvantage unless he just unleashes all of his cursed spirits that he has left. But I'll get more into that once I can fully read the chapter. So subscribe if you haven't already, because I always do the full chapter reviews as well whenever they're released. Thanks, guys. But anyway, we're coming to the present with Kenjaku taking on Takaba. and we see him still using those centipede curses, and they're just doing nothing to Takaba. It's actually getting more comical now. Like, not even the environment is seemingly damaged by him. And Kenjaku realizes that his curse technique was completely rejected. Takaba then makes Kenny wear an American flag bandana and says in English, "You can't win against me." Kenny thinks that Takaba's curse technique must be about creating phenomenons, where he forcefully materializes his imagination. So, before we get into that, I love this panel of Kenjaku wearing the American flag bandana because he reminds me of like Bandit Keith from Yu-Gi-Oh! I wonder if that's what Gege was going for with this. Or maybe he's referencing something else, I don't know. But of course, Kenjaku instantly figures out what Takaba's curse technique is. And I'm not even mad at it because he's Kenjaku. He's essentially the most intelligent person, I guess sorcerer-wise, in the world, right? So if anyone's going to be able to just straight up detective his way into figuring out what a curse technique is, even as absurd as Takaba's, it would be Kenjaku. Maybe Angel did the same thing, I suppose, and that's how she figured it out. But that still doesn't change the fact that she's got a bunch of secrets and stuff that, you know, still needs to come out. Kenny realizes that his 1,000 years of information won't work against Takaba, but Kenny still says that though I didn't expect such a player to exist, there's always a weak point / hole in a curse technique. And it's when I read this that I got worried, and I'm thinking that Takaba is probably going to die here, unfortunately. One of the things that I really like about this series is that no one is safe and that characters will die and they will stay dead. However, sometimes Gege kind of does that to a detriment, and he kind of builds up these characters and just kills them off, and you're looking back on them and it's like, well, what was the point? And it takes me back to Yorozu. I know she's not the most popular, but I think she was a perfectly utilized character by Gege, especially by like his writing standards. I'm not saying that every character has to be like a facsimile of Yorozu, but you know, at least just give them a little bit more. Not everyone, but just like Hazunoki, for example, who we're gonna get back to. But of course there is a hole in every curse technique. That just goes without saying. But another thing is that usually in, I don't know, fiction or whatever, when the villain is portrayed as the underdog, I would say 9 times out of 10, it means they're gonna win. And that seems to be what's going on here. Like, Kenjaku is for sure the underdog in this match. He's almost being portrayed as like sympathetic because he doesn't have answers for Takaba. So that, along with him saying about the hole or the weakness, I'm thinking that there's a good chance that Takaba might die. I don't want him to, of course, but like I said, no one's safe. Anyway, back to Miyamura, because he says, I don't want to explain the yapping, so read it for yourself. Basically, they just go on about Takaba saying that he won first place in a tournament that decides the #1 solo comedian in Japan. And Takaba says that since Kenny's face is written, "Make me laugh" all over it, he shall make Kenny laugh with his one-shot gag, "Don't marry me, I don't want you as my Wi-Fi." So yeah, Takaba like manifested markings on Kenjaku's face, and then he hits him with his iconic "Don't marry me, I don't want you as my Wi-Fi." That was like his first big joke that he said a while ago. Still doesn't make sense now, but I guess it makes more sense in Japanese. Actually, after this, Kenjaku breaks the joke down and explains it. Something about connecting to the wrong Wi-Fi at a cafe or something. But I'll go more into this in my full review later this week, because not even Miyamura himself is really interested in this stuff. So I can't be bothered to. Kenjaku finally lands a solid hit on Takaba. Kenny has figured out the condition for Takaba's curse technique is the user's confidence and certainty. Takaba is sent flying away, but he's enraged at Kenny. He says, "Shut the heck up. You're just an amateur that hasn't even been on stage before. Even if you don't find it funny, it doesn't matter if other people find it funny." So yeah, here's the hole in Takaba's game, is breaking his confidence and taking the humor from him, because that's literally how his power works. He needs to find things funny. Takaba says, "Let's play a game. You lose if you laugh," and makes a funny face, but Kenjaku counters Takaba with an even funnier face. So yeah, we're playing YouTube video rules here, and Takaba hits Kenjaku with like a gorilla face, I guess. But then Kenjaku like does some kind of like kabuki funny face thing where he flicks his tongue up to his mouth and then pulls the string down on his stitches around his forehead, and it pops his head up, exposing his brain. So yeah, like a grotesque homage to kabuki theater. And also us seeing the brain again, which is possibly Kenjaku's true form. Still don't know really what's going on with that. It's probably his innate ability, maybe. I don't know. And also, remember when we called Kenjaku the Brain for like a year before we knew what his name was? Takaba loses and laughs at Kenny's distorted face and gets hit again. Takaba starts losing his cool as he thinks Kenjaku is funnier than him. He tries to encourage himself by saying, "It's okay. I'm also funny too. I'm funny. And then he starts losing his confidence as he sees Hazunoki's dead body. So yeah, we were talking about it before. Hazunoki was killed by Kenjaku in the previous chapter, and I just wish that we got more out of the guy. At least just more exposition. Kenjaku menacingly looks down on Takaba and says, "What's wrong? Laugh. You're a comedian, aren't you?" Takaba thinks that this isn't laughable and loses his confidence as he thinks, wait, why am I even a comedian? So yeah, that's where the chapter ends, and this kind of gives me a little bit of hope because, you know, it's like, oh no, Takaba's in trouble with the cliffhanger, and it would be really like mean of Gege if he just comes into the next chapter and Kenny kills him, but I'm hoping somebody's saving him here because they should be teaming up on Kenjaku, to be honest. I know that it was immediately like denied in the beginning of this chapter when they're having like their conversation, but at least just have one or two people. You can get the job done here. But yeah, like I said, we'll talk more about this in my full chapter review, and if you like the video, guys, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.